everybody. It's Magic Dave. You can call me Willie. Unless you're in the UK, then that's an insult. Uh, it's Ryan Plunkett. You know, he's one of these guys who I don't want to talk, he's listening to me now, so I'm going to be self-conscious trying to describe how cool he is. He's one of these guys who's better than all of us, and he knows it. And I just don't like his attitude, so I'm here to smack him down a little bit. No, I'm kidding, of course. He's a fixture at the Chicago Magic Lounge. I met him at some of these, the Pebble and the Session and some of these places. Convention guy. He was this guy at the convention who was always really good. And then I saw him perform and I went, oh my God, this guy's the real deal, something special. And if you don't know Ryan's work, you're about to learn more about him. Here we go. Let me put him on here. Did you like that intro? I'm good at this, right? I'm a professional.
That was nice. That was nice.
Is that a fake book shelf background that you have for Zoom? Is it green
It's all
screen?
virtual. No,
Yeah.
no, this is the shelves.
Is that Card College in the white?
These them shelves. Yeah, of course.
I was just talking to somebody about Card College. I mean, I've known Roberto for years, but I haven't read Card College from beginning to end. Have you?
I've intermittently.
Okay.
There's some good stuff in there.
Yeah, I know
really
there
good
is.
stuff.
He's what I call an organized thinker. Well, he's Swiss.
Mm-hmm.
They're all organized thinkers. But I would say that it's like the modern Royal Road. It's like one of the first things you would recommend to an up-and-comer, right?
Yeah, he lays stuff out really well. Like I've actually worked through volume 1, and he gets to some heavy hitters really early. Like he has Scarney's triple coincidence is like the third trick in volume 1, and that's a fooler.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, see, I need to get me that. If you're done with them, you could just put them in the mailbox, and I'll read them.
I'll send them your way. I'll give them to you.
Yeah, right. Where'd you grow up?
Dallas, Texas. Well, Irving, Texas.
Who were the guys back in Dallas when you got into this?
So when I was in high school, we had this thing,
What
and
year
it's still
would that
going
have been?
on. Ooh, so I graduated in 2010.
Oh, wow.
2010. So probably 05 to 010 were like my high school formative years, I guess. Right. And so there was this weekly get together. It still goes on in Dallas. I always called it Secret Magic Dinner, but it was just once a week. We'd all go to a restaurant. It was every Monday night, and we would talk about magic or not talk about magic. People would show moves or show what they were working on. And it was just like a weekly get together. It was nice.
So it wasn't part of a club or anything. It wasn't the ring or
the best part was it was unassociated with everything. And so you didn't have any of the politics.
There was a lot of Texas magic politics. I know that from going there for years.
Tons, right? And so every Monday night this group of people would show up, and man, I met a lot of cool people there. Like that's how I met Bizarro. He would go to that every Monday night. Roger Smith was
Roger Smith. I knew Roger Smith from back in the 70s when I would go to the TAOM.
Man,
creator of Maxi Twist, right?
Maxi Twist, yeah, tons of stuff. Yeah. He did the whole Necromancer series. He had a innovative card magic. Those were his notes. He had like 3 volumes. Vernon did the foreword for the first one.
Really?
But in middle school, I would just listen and I would watch him do Maxi Twists and card tricks all the time. Every Monday night, I would watch Roger Smith do card tricks.
To be able to sit there elbow to elbow every week with a guy like Roger Smith who had all that knowledge. And did he share secrets with you? Did you tell you what books to read and that kind of stuff?
Yeah,
he would be a heavy hitter. Were there any other guys like that?
He was a heavy hitter. There were, oh man, it's hard to remember. There was a ton over the years.
Did Johnny Brown ever come to any of those?
I think that was before my time.
Okay.
I know that some of the guys at that knew him. So I remember bringing up the Johnny Brown books one time. I think I saw them at the shop or something. I'm like, these look hard to find. What are these? And they would tell me, stories about Johnny Brown.
The Johnny Brown stories, yeah.
But it was kind of way before me.
Yeah. Well, cool. So then from there, did you go to college, go to school, or what you do?
Yeah, so from
Were,
Dallas, I went
but
to
were you
Oklahoma
gigging
City.
in Dallas before you left?
So in high school, I worked for Derek Kennedy at Magic and Sarah, Fort Worth Magic and Costume, if you're familiar.
Yes.
I worked there in high school. Yeah, and I did magic at a baseball stadium. It was a private, like independent league baseball stadium. So I would do magic for the kids in like the play area before the game. I would go up
That's
to
cool.
the suites and do magic during the game, and then after the game, I would go to the sports bar in outfield, and I would do magic as like this 16-year-old kid in
That's
a
amazing,
Texas
though.
bar. Yeah, it was great.
And did you
And
work in the
so,
magic shop, you said?
yeah, I was one of the demoers.
Oh, great. That's a rite of passage for a lot of us. So,
hmm Well, it was a funny story. I got a random text from the person who worked there before me. I guess they were on their way out. They're like, "If you want a job at the magic shop, show up today." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, I have nothing going on." And so I guess an hour before I showed up, he called in and gave us 2 weeks.
and you were like there, fresh faced boy, I'm
And they
available.
and they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Nothing." They're like, "You want a job?" I said, "Sure. What do I do?" And they said, "Get back there and work." I said, "Okay. What do I do?" And he says, "Start learning tricks." I said, "Okay." And so he says,
I'll pay you to start learning magic and read
"Yeah,
books. And
start learning them, start demoing them." Yeah. And so we just would comb through all of the counters and learn every packet trick.
isn't that the greatest?
It's
Wow.
the best.
You know, Mike
You.
Skinner called me when I was younger, and he just wanted to talk to me because he had read somewhere that I worked in a magic shop, and he just wanted to talk about that. So we talked about that for about 2 hours, just all the tricks we
Mhm.
used to demo and how fun it was, all the characters that would come through.
Yeah, that's how I kind of got obsessed with the stripper deck. Norman Beck used to come in, and
Oh,
we would just geek out for hours about the stripper deck.
isn't that
And of
great?
course,
So that's kind of
he's
where
on a
all
different
those.
parallel level.
So
He's
tell us
doing
about the
twice that
stripper deck in
far.
your book. So some of the guys might not know about it. Your recent book. Well, it's like 3 years old now.
Oh man,
Four.
2017,
Okay,
17 it
almost
came out.
five.
Uh, it's a funny story. Okay, so when I had my high school graduation, um, do you know Brian O'Neill? He's a Dallas guy. Does that name ring
Uh,
a bell?
I probably know him to see it. No, not jumping out at me.
He used to throw a convention for his birthday that he called the Brian O'Neill convention. I think it was like some Dallas convention, and it had crazy names. Anyway, he's just this funny guy from
Yeah.
Dallas. But he put out this card trimmer called the Line Low Card Cutter. I
Okay.
don't know if you ever saw one of those, but he found these paper cutters, and he had these like brackets 3D printed that came with it, and you could like slot in these
I
different L
see.
brackets, and you could do different kind of work. Like you could do, normal side work, you could do in work, you could do shorts, narrows, you could do kind of all the basic stuff. So for my high school graduation, I invited some of the magicians to like this party that my family was throwing, and he shows up and he brings me one of these card trimmers wrapped in like foil. I guess he didn't have like gift wrap or anything. It's wrapped in foil. And so I unwrap it, and it was, the coolest thing. So I
Yeah.
started cutting stripper decks and making Svengali decks and all the stuff that I was pitching at the magic shop. I started, just making any
Making
kind
your
of
own
deck.
versions out of better card
It's
stock. Yeah.
the best. Yeah. So I remember I went to a TAOM once, and I had a whole brick of studs that I cut into stripper decks.
No.
And I'm like, oh, people are gonna love these, right? They're gonna eat these things up. And I think I sold like one of them. they were
Oh.
like they were like $20, and nobody wanted to buy one from me. But I was flooring people with this stripper deck material that I was coming up with at the magic shop and at all these conventions. The first Pebble was it was when I was in college. It was when I lived in Oklahoma City.
And for those who don't know, the Pebble Convention's a small gathering in Dallas usually, and that's
Yeah,
put
so the
together by Lance Pierce.
Lance Pierce, yeah. So the first year he did it was in Oklahoma City, which is where I
Okay.
was going to college, and that's where
Okay.
Lance lives.
Right.
Um, And so I started showing some of the stripper deck stuff. Uh, I remember, distinctly, I was showing it to like Tyler Wilson and Michael Feldman, like those guys, and it just kind of knocked them in the side of the head. They had no idea what was going on, and so I'm like, oh man, there might be something here. So Feldman and I had this, friendship that flourished out of, talking about these old gaff decks,
Right.
and it kind of just snowballed from there. And we ended up having this collection of material. We thought, we might as well bind and put in a little project of like our experiences and our tricks from conventions past, right?
Right. Right.
And so yeah, it's just this little token of friendship and
Oh, that's
collaboration.
a
And
nice way to think about it.
yeah,
Well, and
it's
the
a
name
cool
of the
little
book
project.
is A New Angle.
New Angle, or if you mix the spaces around, it's Anne Wangle.
Anne Wangle. I knew her.
Anne Wangle. Mm-hmm.
She walked funny. I remember. She was,
Mm-hmm. She was a
yeah.
gal though. She was nice.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what Anne Wangle is. Is that a real person? No.
It's not.
But A New Angle. So yeah, and I've seen you do some of these things, and it's really, I mean, I consider it cheating. It's a shortcut to good magic. It's not fun. It's, no pun intended. But
Yeah, but I have no religious views against like putting sleight of hand with
me
with
neither.
gaffs, and
No, I agree, and
that's
that's why
that's the way to do it.
somebody floored me with the cleanest Triumph I've ever seen, and I went, "What the hell?" And they go, "It's a stripper deck, dummy." I was like, "Oh my god!" I used to do that at the counter with I'm not used to seeing it with nicer cards. Fox
Yeah,
Lake,
magicians will talk themselves out of better methods sometimes
yeah, of course,
for the sake of cleanliness.
yeah, yeah.
I
Well,
mean, I remember the first time I saw Darren Brown's stop trick off of Devil's Picture Book. It destroyed me. Do you remember this
no,
effect?
no, I don't.
Cards are washed on the table, cards picked, mixed amongst them, squared up. The spectator starts dealing. He's divining the card, and then he just yells "stop" in the middle of the divination. He goes, uh, "Ten of hearts," and then he goes, "Yeah," and he goes, "Turn over the next card," and they stopped exactly at the ten of hearts. One way deck, just mixed all over the table, and it's got all of these, ploys and ruses and subtleties, and
Fantastic. I know. It's showmanship.
yeah,
It's how you do
it's
it. I know.
everything.
It's awesome. So anyway, so you left Dallas. You went where?
Hmm. I guess we
We went
we
off on A New Angle
we
there.
went off on a new angle. So yeah, Dallas. I went to school in Oklahoma City
What'd you
for
study?
lighting and sound design for
Really?
theater. Hmm. So spent 4-ish years there. Still studying magic, still practicing, but really kind of ahead in the game for the theater world, and
Yeah.
doing shows and trying to get through school. And so after that, I moved to Chicago to work in the theater. Got here, worked all over town, and I just kind of happened to meet Joey, who was starting this, once a week thing at a at a nightclub, and would I be interested in, helping out, and I just kind of fell ass backwards back into magic, and it just kind of you know,
So
took
this once a
control.
week little show, what was it called back then?
Called it the Chicago Magic
It
Lounge.
was the Chicago Magic Lounge. Started in some
Yeah,
kind of
we
cleared
did
off
it.
portion of an old club or something. What was it? A
We
burlesque
did
club or what
it.
was it?
Yeah, it was a burlesque lounge. We did it once a week, every Thursday night. So Joey is setting this thing up. He has the first preview night, and it was BYOB. I was working from home doing like some graphic design work at the time. Kind of hating it, but it paid my way to move to Chicago. And so I show up at this little first time show that these local magicians were putting on. I brought a 6-pack, kind of sat in the back, sat by myself, and had a great time. Just watched
Yeah.
all of these friends putting on a show, and so after the show, I went up to the bar and I hung out, and I met Joey, and he goes, "Oh, you're a magician. You're also from Texas. Show me something." And so I showed him one of the things out of the stripper deck book, and it knocked him on his ass. He goes, "What are you doing next Thursday?" And I said, "Nothing, truly nothing." And so he goes, "Okay, we'll show up at this time. You're gonna do close-up magic for us." I said, "Okay, sure." And it was, truly that simple. And then, 2 weeks later, I'm like, you could use a new logo. You want a logo? And so I built him a logo. And a couple weeks after that, I'm like, I do lighting design. You need, some input on that. I
Right.
know I know some friends who would want to come and do this. Do you need help, filling the slots? And so it just kind of snowballed into this, this relationship. And so eventually we were doing the show. I think we took over Thursdays and then Thursday, Saturdays. And then the right guy shows up and says, "You guys want to do this for real?" And so, you know, we're we're doing it for real, you know.
You are, and if anybody hasn't been there yet, it's a little speakeasy kind of. You go into an old laundromat, and you don't know, and there's no signage. There's not a lot of
Mhm.
clues, right? You got to kind of know
No,
why you're
there's a
there.
couple clues, but it's
There's a
pretty
couple.
pretty nondescript, yeah,
Yeah, anybody
but on
walking
purpose.
by would never know that inside is the most
Mhm.
gorgeous, the swankiest. It's a gorgeous space. It really is, and the theater's
It's a beautiful space. Well, and
perfectly
magic,
designed.
as you know, right? Magic is all about where you experience it, right? It's more
Yeah,
than just the
that's
trick
right.
in your hand. It's the building breaks down so many walls, and it breaks the ice so many times before
It
they ever
conditions
see a
them. It
single trick.
conditions them. It's like the Magic Castle. People are
Hmm.
hungry for card tricks, whereas somebody walking, somebody a block away, that's the last thing from their mind. They could care less.
Well, it's not interruption at that point. It's,
Yeah,
they've made a conscious choice to
that's
go
right. Well, they
through
paid
two.
money. They're invested. Yeah.
Well, they bought a ticket. They've walked through two secret doors.
Oh
They've
yeah.
gone to the bar and
They're
experienced.
psychologically primed. They're softened up.
Yeah, I mean, they see Jeff Bibick at the bar for 20 minutes and they're having the time of their life. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He's classic Chicago bar
Let's
magic,
talk
right?
about that for just a second because that's something I know. I don't know much about. I didn't grow up in Chicago, but I would go up to Chicago, and I know that
Well,
there
I'm
is
an
a thing
implant
called
also.
yeah, there's a thing called Chicago bar magic.
Hmm.
And Jeff Bibick is the current living embodiment of that.
Yeah,
He really
absolutely.
is. And what are the
Uh,
hallmarks? Would you say are the things that this
well, I guess it
define
was he.
that
I guess
idea?
it was Heba Haba who first kind of put it
Hiba Haba
into
Al,
stone.
famous bar magician in Chicago.
He's kind of, him and Shulian are kind of the embodiment of what they consider close up Chicago style, whether it be like sitting at the table or behind the bar. And it's rapid pace.
Yep.
It's about getting everybody involved. Normally Heba would go around and he would start a trick over here, make a drink over here, start a joke over here, finish have a card selected here, finish the drink,
Yeah.
deliver the drink, do the till, finish the joke, have the card lost in the deck. Like he was bouncing
He
around
was
doing all
working
these things.
everybody at the same time. Yeah.
Hmm. Whereas like Shulian was more of like rapid pace, right?
Right.
It was about like boom, the card changed. Now the corner's in the glass, and now the
Yeah.
card's
Yeah.
gone from here. It's
Trick,
onto the
trick, trick,
tablecloth.
trick effect. Yeah.
Yeah,
Bam, bam, bam. Just hit him over the head.
hmm
Yeah. It was a very rapid fire kind of thing. Kind of like a Fector kind of.
yeah, yeah. I guess the way I kind of view it in a newer term is, Chicago style for me is just about the people. It's about meeting people on their level. It's like in Chicago,
Right.
you sit down and you meet them at the table. You join them where they are.
Yeah, there's no like level of abstraction like theatrically. There's no kind of a pretension of artistry. You know what I mean? It's kind of like Chicago
Hmm.
pizza is it's like thick people want to eat pizza. Let's give you more. People want magic. Here's more. It's very Midwestern kind of in your face, people centric,
Yeah,
family style. It's kind of like family style.
yeah, for sure.
Oh, that's
Um,
cool. Well, it's cool that you
yeah,
guys consciously give them that as they walk in the door with
yeah. Well, for me, Chicago, even in theater, is a very ensemble place, right? I feel like, LA and New York are very solo performance locations, whereas, Chicago, you have these, you know,
Theater companies,
improv
Second
and
City, and
theater
yeah,
companies, and you know, the Magic Lounge is an ensemble production, right?
it
Like you
really
come
is.
and you see 11 performers, you know, that night, right? You see the wide spectrum of what this thing is, whether it's, you know, theater or improv or magic.
Yeah,
It feels very ensemble to me.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's cool. And it's been, I mean, pandemic notwithstanding, it's been a success, I
Hmm.
think. I don't know about financial, but at least artistically, and the you guys pulled it off. I remember you drawing me pictures on a napkin and in Dallas while this thing was being built, the final, this
Hmm.
version of it. And I was like, I couldn't wrap my head around it. It was like, good luck with that, because I know so many places have tried and failed. But you guys were the point of the spear, and now it's all these other places are opening up around the country. There's
Yeah,
almost a
I love
circuit
it.
of magic speakeasies. I mean, can
I
we
love
name
it.
them? I mean, it's Nashville has the. You just worked there,
Uh,
House of Cards,
House of Cards in Nashville, yeah, wonderful location. You know, you have
Smoke and Mirrors in Philly.
us in Chicago, Smoke and Mirrors in Philly. You have even, I mean, obviously you have the Castle. You have, man, we're
I
gonna
mean,
get in
there's the
trouble
New
for leaving
York. In
people
New
out.
York, there's the train
What?
kind of what's
Well, you have productions in New York, like you have like Speakeasy Magic. That's,
that's
you
it.
know,
Speakeasy Magic. Yeah,
an ensemble show, kind of like ours,
yeah.
in a awesome location.
We haven't
Um,
seen it in Vegas yet.
I haven't seen any
This
in
idea.
Vegas. I've
I mean, they had the Magic Underground, the magical in back in the day at Caesar's Magical Underground.
Yeah, I just, well, to name a few more, I just did the Mystique dining locations. There's one in Utah, and
Right.
he has one in Northern California. He's about to open
Folsom.
one up, and yeah, one in Folsom. He's about to open up one in La Jolla,
Oh, really?
and so
Okay.
so you have all of these, you know, places all over the country. I think it's amazing. I think it's great.
I hope and I hope a lot of them can survive this pandemic because I think it's a great idea.
David, what card is on top?
That's easy. It's a five.
Okay, just told you the
Nailed
rule.
it.
The
Wait,
Ace of
what?
Spades, always the card on top. Let me explain again.
You did say
We
that,
have